Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year. This is the first video of 2026 and we are starting off strong with our TBR for the month of January. Now I have 3 books here as well as my Kindle because I always trust my Kindle, and one of the books would be an audio read from Libby or Spotify. So I figured every month my TBR will include physical reads, Kindle reads, as well as audiobook reads, because that's typically how I read all my books. This year specifically, I want to read a lot more physical copy books. I'm hoping I can get a home library very soon, so I would be able to figure out what books I want physically and what books I want to keep on my Kindle, or even dehaul my Kindle, because my Kindle has a lot of books that I've read, a lot of books that I do not plan on reading, so I probably should clear that out pretty soon. But for today's video, we are going to go through my list of books that I would like to read in January. Doesn't mean I'll get through all of it, but I think this month I have a pretty good chance of getting through all of them. First book, People We Meet on Vacation. Now, this is an Emily Henry book, very popular. I'm sure you've heard about it. I have never read it. It follows Poppy and Alex. They go on these vacations every summer, I believe, until one summer vacation. Something happens. They no longer talk. Fast forward 2 years later, they have to reconcile, I think. So, and she has to fix everything. So I'm not really sure. That's the premise of the book based on the blurb on the back. So I'm excited to read this. One of the reasons I would like to read this is because the movie comes out January 9th on Netflix. So before I watch the movie, I would like to finish this book. It is currently January 2nd. I haven't started, so we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But that is my first book. My second book is very exciting because this is a Nigerian author, which one of the things I would like to do this year is get back to reading Nigerian authors. I started my reading journey with Nigerian authors, but it seems like it kind of fell through the wayside this last year. So we're back with that. And it's not only a Nigerian author, this is also my first ARC. So Your Tomorrow Was Today by Oyindamola Dosunmu. This is my first ARC I've ever received. I received this a couple months ago actually, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. This book comes out January 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Yes, January 15th. So this is another book that I would like to read and finish before said day. They have changed the cover, so I'll put the new cover here, and it's really pretty. I like this new cover. This cover versus new cover, I will go for the new cover. You can pre-order on Amazon or wherever you get your books from, Barnes & Noble, on Kindle or paperback, however the case may be. But this book follows Karen, who goes through grief. I believe her mother suddenly dies, and she has to go through that, as well as dealing with family and her perfectly curated life. It is set in Lagos and Eastern Nigeria, so I am excited to read. Again, getting back to my roots, getting back to my Nigerian authors, I think I would thoroughly enjoy this. The other book I have here is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Now, this is an author that I love. I've read several of her books, but I've never read this one, which seems to be the most popular one. I heard about this book first from Shaughnessy. She's a booktuber here on YouTube. You should look her up. And I'm not even sure what it's about, honestly, but I know they love writing. It's a author duo, which is why I say they. So it's essentially Christina and Lauren that write these books. So their author name is Christina Lauren. And yeah, they write really good love romance books, really good fiction books. So I'm excited to read this. And this is the prettier cover, because I know there's another cover of this as well. But this is a pretty cover that I got from my library, which, by the way, all these books except the ARC is from my library. I borrow my books because I do not have a bookshelf. So that is something I'm hoping to get this year, but in either case, these are from my library. So those are the 3 physical books. Now, fourth book, which would be on my Kindle, is Siege and Storm. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you know I've started reading Siege and Storm a couple months ago. I put it down and now I am determined to get the trilogy finished this month. So Siege and Storm is the second book in the Shadow and Bone series by Leah Bardugo. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering these names, but that's the second book. The first book, phenomenal. The second book, I'm struggling to get through it, which is why I put it down, but I didn't completely DNF it. So with all the travel I have planned for this month, definitely I feel like I would get through Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. That's the third book. So I plan on getting through both of those books this month as well. Now for our last read, which will be a listen, is a Spotify listen, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this, but Spotify, you can listen to audiobooks on Spotify. If you are the sole owner of your Spotify account, you have to have the premium though. So you have to have the paid subscription. I have a family plan, but I made myself the owner because only the owner gets the listening time. And I believe you get 15 hours of listening time per month with your subscription. So that is what I'll be using. I do have the Libby app, so I get a lot of my audiobooks from Libby as well. But I try to dabble between Libby and Spotify because Spotify's collection, I feel, is more vast than Libby just because I have the one library card and my library doesn't have a lot of diverse reads. And I say that very loosely just because some of the reads I'm looking for, I never find it in my library, whether it's Libby or physical. So I think that's one of the reasons why I really stopped reading Nigerian authored books, is because most of the books I would read where I lived previously in Austin, they had a large subset of books, right? So I could find every book I wanted to read. But here, my library doesn't have the Nigerian authors I read, and I don't want to keep buying books. I already have a couple books that I bought out of necessity, but I don't want to keep buying books because I have no space to keep said books. So that is one of the reasons why I've fallen off reading Nigerian authors, but I'll figure it out. I know there are a couple library cards you can get by, even though you're not a resident of said city. For example, I think Houston has a very good library program, and being that it's a big city, I would assume they would have a lot more option for a read. So I'll definitely try and figure that out this year. But going back, my Spotify read or listen will be Plus Size Player, and this is by Danielle Allen. I have 8 hours and 20 minutes left. Now, this book is very different for me. And I say that being, I'm not really sure what the storyline or the plot is supposed to be. We are following Nina Ford. She is a plus size influencer slash model making a way for herself in the industry. It is based in Atlanta, which I was just in Atlanta a month ago, and some of the places they mentioned, I'm like, oh, I know that place. So that makes it, very interesting when you have been to locations in books. But we're following Nina Ford and her roster, essentially. She has a roster of men she's dating and what she gets from each man. So she has the fun one, she has the funny one. I think the fun one and the funny one is the same person. She has the intelligent one, and then she has the one for like passion and romance and things like that. So she continuously has a roster of 3 or 4 men, and it seems like she likes one more than the other. I'm not sure if the book ends with her finding her man or not. Honestly, I didn't even know the plot when I started reading it. I had just heard about it. It said it was a fun read, and I was like, sure, let's go ahead and give it a listen. So that's how I started it. I didn't even know. And you would find that most of the books I read, I either know about it or heard about it from someone that recommended it to me, or a booktuber, or I see the cover, I love it, and I pick it up and I read. That's how I choose my books. So this book, not really sure what it's about, but I will be finishing Plus Size Player this month as well. So yeah, that concludes all the books on my TBR. I will be giving a wrap up at the end of the month to see what books I actually went through. And I'm gonna give myself grace, right? So audiobooks, I usually get through very quickly because of my commute. My commute is quite long, so I get through audiobooks quite quickly. So I might add another audiobook in there. My Kindle read, I'm currently in the middle of a book called 3 Months in Accra. and it's a pretty short book. I'm already 88% of the way through, and I started this book a couple months ago. I just forgot about it because I was reading other things. So I have a lot of books I'm always reading at the same time, but I figured a TBR will help me keep track of the books I read per year, because one thing I didn't do well last year was keep track of the books I read and beat my reading goal. Speaking of reading goal, I will announce my reading goal in my next video, so stay tuned for that. But overall, I think those are all the books I have on my TBR list. And I will see you guys in the wrap up later this month. Bye. Let's try for a thumbnail, shall we? I'm gonna take a picture.